Well, let's just stop for one moment and bring people up to date. First of all, the man was 40 years old. I think we should point out that all of this happened just a little more than 90 minutes ago. So if this seems a little bit disjointed and confused, it is only because the event just happened. John Lennon was shot. Apparently he was shot 3 times. He was shot outside an apartment building called the Dakota, which is on West 72nd Street in New York. Apparently a lot of show business people live at the Dakota. What kind of a life did he lead in New York, Geraldo? Was it a very visible one, or was very seclusive?
It was very secluded between 1974 and 75 until very recently. I was jogging in Central Park 2 months ago and ran into John and Yoko 6 weeks ago on the corner. And they seemed very happy, very buoyant. He had completed the work on the album, Starting Over. Both John and Yoko had a very positive outlook about the future. They had turned a corner in their personal life. He lived in the Dakota. He had several co-ops in that very prestigious building. He had his office there. He had his home there. He had a place for Yoko there. They still lived, you know, they surfaced once in a while for a print interview to promote the album, or they appeared, but rarely. They weren't media people anymore, certainly not to the extent the media pursued them. They resisted that. It really seemed to me with this album that John was back, that John really wanted to reward the fans that had remained loyal to him during the 10 years of that transition from the Beatles until this tragic event this evening. The most tragic aspect of this terrible thing is the ironic thing about the fact that John Lennon was back. John Lennon, after a 5-year absence, was finally back in the studios, had finally released a record album that was receiving general acclamation from the fans. He was back not as the philosopher Lennon, not as the political Lennon, not as the Lennon who makes a lot of domestic news for his style and flamboyance, but rather as the musician. That's how we got to know him initially, as a great musician and lyricist, as a person who, as one of the cornerstones of one of the most incredible musical units in the history of the planet.
For a time, he found himself right in the middle of rock and roll's fast lane. But they got through it, and John was starting over. He had a new record album recorded just 2 months ago. It was a good album that was receiving general public acceptance. John Lennon was back, until an assassin ended the life of this fantastic talent. A man who changed the history of rock and roll.
I would like to say something. I'd like your attention, please. This is very important, and I want you all to understand that I am not a person who likes to be the of any bad news, but I think that I would like to, for those of you that don't know this, because I couldn't, it's been really hard for me to do this show tonight, but I did it in memory of people like this man, like Dr. Martin Luther King, and like someone that recently was shot. He was shot tonight 3 times, and I will tell you who, and I know that maybe you won't be able to sing this song with me, but the song is about people like him that have lived and died for the principle of unity for all people. And I'm talking about Mr. John Lennon. So I'm very sorry to have to tell you that. But when I found it out, it's still very hard for me to do this show, even now. But I know that he would want me to continue to express those same feelings as he has in his life.